What's up, everybody? In this last P build guide, I'm going to be covering my Saber Blade Storm build, which is a quality build that allows for in and out quick attacks while maintaining the great damage output that you can get from swords. The weapon used for this build is a combination of the Saber Blade and the Fire Axe handle, with the Saber Blade being your starting weapon when choosing Path of the Cricket Balance class. The Fire Axe handle can be found hidden in Vanini Works during Chapter 3. This handle has great scaling and slightly improves the reach of the blade to capitalize on its damage output. The Saber Blade Storm focuses on dealing considerable damage even from dodge and dash attacks, utilizing defensive tactics combined with offensive tactics for setting up big stagger and damage output with the Puppet String Legion arm. You will kill normal enemies within your level in 2 to 3 hits. The main source of damage will come from using Puppet String Legion arm in combination with Storm/Fable Art. Having the Puppet String Legion arm maxed out allows you to get in close with a special move like you are Spider-Man that will knock or stagger an enemy most of the time, or kill at least 2 enemies at once in an AoE. On bosses, this is a great way to dish out massive damage, but be careful as it can be interrupted when timed wrong. The Storm/Fable Art will slash an enemy multiple times, more often than not helping you stagger a boss depending how much damage you did to the boss leading up to this. This combo attack has great damage potential when used effectively. Now let's move on to the stats for this build, as this is once again a level 90 build here. That is a quality build. It's very fun to utilize throughout the playthrough. You don't have to switch to any of your weapons if you don't want to. Vitality, once again, is going to be at 33, and just so you know, this is going to mostly be the same for all my quality builds that are focused on motivity and technique utilization. So Vitality pretty much going to stay the same at 33. Vigor, same thing, 20. Capacity, now I've got up to 25 for extra, help with the weight. And then motivity and technique are at 26. But that's boosted by 2 amulets I'm using, so you want to get these to at least 22 respectively. Advanced, leave it alone at 7. Now, as I said, I'm using the Puppet Saber Blade. It's maxed out at 10 with the Fire Axe handle. And I'm using the Puppet String Legion arm for this in combination. Amulets, I'm using Carrier's Amulet. This is going to be another thing that's kind of going to be most likely universal with all my builds, just because it's so good. The trade-off is, obviously, if you want to put more points into leveling up your capacity, so you don't need to use this amulet and you can play something else. Just keep that in mind. And then Patience Amulet, once again, gonna be a staple in my builds for Liza P that I'm pretty much gonna use in every build. So this is very good. And then with this being a quality build, similar to my previous build video I showed with the Saw Blade, motivity and technique amulets, utilize this. Now, if you want to swap these out, one of these, and switch off for, certain enemy types. For example, if you're going up against humans or puppets or carcasses, feel free to do so. This is like not the end all be all, for this. Defensive parts here. I got the LADA F350 frame, much like I had in the Saw Blade build, which is another quality build. I think that's going to be universal, probably with all my builds as well too, because it's so good. You get it late game though, so just keep that in mind. With this though, these parts will kind of depend. Now, I know in the previous build video, I went with this one, the Belford Superior Corrosion Resistance Converter. So this is going to depend on what area you're in and what enemies you're going against, because you may need to have this Capacity Installation Converter instead. You may need to have Capacity Radiation, or you may need to utilize the Capacity Corrosion Resistance Converter instead of this one, because this one apparently is less than that. So just keep that in mind. So you'll probably be swapping between these, these 3 at least, depending on what area you're in and what enemies you're going up against. Another one you may swap out sometimes, but I think this is overall a good one, is the Shock Cartridge, the LADA. The other one you may switch it up with sometimes is the Disruption Cartridge, just because if you're trying to have extra disruption resistance against certain enemies that do that, you may want to swap to this. Otherwise, I would just stick with this. But there's also a few others here. If you're maybe trying to have some extra break resistance, you want to swap to this against certain enemies. aside from that, though, I wouldn't really mess with anything else. Break cartridge, disruption cartridge, and shock cartridge are going to be your main three. You'll probably swap between. And then this is most likely going to be a staple with all my builds as well, too, because unless you're trying to have more pierce damage reduction or strike damage reduction, there's not much else here I would say that's really good, because even with these are not as great. So this is going to be the overall best one, unless you want some extra resistance to a specific like pierce or strike damage for your build. Okay, so let's dive into the P organ skill tree. Now, as you probably can tell already, this is not as focused on heavy stagger damage and staggering your enemies. This is mostly focused on doing great damage output to kill your enemies. Not so much stagger them all the time, but definitely have that great stagger capability when you need it, especially against bosses. So, similar to my saw blade slasher build, I'll have you guys start with this. Increased pulse cells. That's going to be honestly a given. You want to have these. I feel like having a 7 to 10, 10 max, I believe is what you're going to get anyway if you max all out. But yeah, at least 7 of these, because you're going to need them in this game. But yeah, I would say go with this immediately. And then I decided to go with enhanced Fable Arts to help do more damage output with my Storm/Fable Art. And then enhanced guard, regain recovery. Now, defensive tactics you're going to be utilizing, if I didn't touch on this too much earlier, is like stuff like when you dodge, you'll be able to do attacks from dodging, dashing, blocking, things like that. Then another one is going to be link dodge. I would pick up this and then add in lower damage while dodging 1, and then perfect guard, fable, charge, enhance 1. This is going to be good when you do, I know perfect guardian is hard to do in this game, but when you get it off sometimes, it's going to be very useful, especially if you pick up the special grindstone that temporarily lets you have your blocks be essentially perfect guards. And then, of course, add Fable slots, because we want to have 4 Fable slots in the long run, so that way we can utilize, the Fire Axe handle, both the Fable Art with that when you need to. I forgot to mention it earlier, where essentially it has the Endure on it, and you can use that to help block all attacks and take either no damage or release significantly reduced damage, even from the red unblockable attacks that you typically have to either dodge or perfect guard. And with this, I put enhanced ambush stagger attack on here. This enhances stagger attack of dodge attacks and dash attacks to help you do more damage there. And then lower guard, regain, reduction. So that way, like, if you're not super great at perfect guarding, at least you'll, be able to get more back or not take as much damage when it comes to recovering health, things like that. Rising dodge, I said, added in here to help with more, because it's able to dodging when on the ground. So if you're knocked down, you can dodge on the ground. So that way you can get back into the fight more quickly, because this is about doing considerable damage very fast, be in and out, kind of quick hit attacks when you need to, move around with the use of the help of the puppet string, because that way you can either pull enemies towards you, or you go to them and just quickly take them out. So with this, I added lower legion consumption and a crisis. So that way, when you need to, if you're in a crisis, you can utilize your puppet string more effectively and not have to worry about as much usage of it, especially when your HP is low. And then that'll kind of help with it. It sort of like helps you with like a comeback in a sense. Lowers guard regain reduction 2. Once again, helping with that guard regain, so you get more health back when you're blocking. And then I went to retain guard regain 1, and then put in here enhanced Fable Arts attack 2, perfect guard, guard recovery, helping you out a lot there. Add amulet slot, of course, very good to use, and then enhanced perfect guard destruction, so that way when you do pop off your perfect guard, you help, do destructive damage to your bosses or enemies. Increase pulse cells 3, so we have more healing. Increase pulse cells 2, of course, so more healing, reduce stamina consumption from dash, so that way when you're dashing, doing dash attacks, you don't use as much stamina. Enhanced pulse cell recovery, once again, better healing. Enhanced pulse cell recovery 2, better healing. Then I put in here lower legion consumption and crisis 2, so that way you're just able to not use as much there when it comes to consumption. Increase pulse cell 4, increase your maximum number there. Perfect guard destruction enhanced 2, so that way, once again, enemies, bosses, you destroy, get them down more, kill them quicker with that. Add amulet slot 2. And then add in here lower damage while dodging 2, so that way you're not taking as much damage. Perfect guard, fable, charge, enhance 2. Charges fable when a perfect guard is successful, so that way you can keep doing your fable arts in combination with the puppet string more often. Increase stagger damage duration 2, even though this is not focused on stagger damage, but this is going to still help when you need it. And then add Fable slots 2, which is going to get you up to 4. And I put in here enhanced weapon attack when durability is at maximum 1. So that way, at least when your durability is maxed out, and we need to, especially in boss fights, you're going to do even more damage output. Increase pulse cells 5. Fatal attack Fable charger, so that when you do Fable attacks, not Fable attacks, when you do fatal attacks, then that's way it's going to help charge your Fable up faster so you can pull off your Fable art more. And then lastly, I got Retain Guard, Regain 2. And then putting here lowers natural recovery upon weapon attack. Enhanced Guard Recovery 2, Charge Legion when eliminating an enemy. And Charge Fable upon Pulse Cell use. So that way you're just using your Fable arts and Legion arm, Puppet String even more often in combination, because that's the theme of this build. And that's what you want to go with. So that wraps it up for this build guide video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope this was helpful to you. If you did enjoy it, please smash the like button, as it helps get the video seen by more people. And then subscribe if you're new, and hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss anything on my channel. I got more guide videos coming up for you with these builds I'm doing for Liza P, as well as other games. My name's Mike. Thanks for watching.